Greetings and welcome to a very dark Monday morning here in Northampton. I'm about to put some lights on today. So here we go. We're going to start off with part 3 of the Frank Zappa story, and we're going to have a look at his albums during the 1970s, which is a particular favourite period for me, from Frank Zappa. So we'll get cracking. 9 albums during the 70s. Most of them are pretty good. There's 1 or 2 albums I'm not as keen on, but on the whole they are pretty listenable all the way through. So, coming in at number 9, we go to 1978 and the album Studio Tan. Lots of people play on this, but one particular person plays on here on drums, and that's Chester Thompson. So the first track, it's 2 tracks, a couple of 3, I think there's 3 tracks on this, or 4 tracks, not too many. So side 1 is taken up by Gregory Peccary. Now this is okay, I've got no problem with it, but the only thing I don't like, it jumps all over the place. There's not a proper flow to this. I think this would have been better as short tracks. It chops and changes. You listen to a bit, oh, this is good, and then it goes off on a tangent, but comes back in. I do struggle with it when it comes to the jumping all over the place, but the musical side of it is pretty good. Then we have Let Me Take You to the Beach. Really strange track, but I love the sequencing keyboards on it. Then we have Revised Music for Guitar and Low Budget Orchestra. I like this. It's pretty good. It's got, the drumming's got this real interesting time signature gone. And then it does go a little bizarre towards the end, but on the whole, I do like that track. And then the last track on here is called Redunzel. My favourite piece on here, it's got a lot of progressive sound on this jazz fusion. The vibraphone is very prominent. It's just really good. There's a little bit of piano in there as well, and I do like that. That's a pretty solid track. I don't mind this album, as I said, to be quite honest. I think part of the Gregory Peccary is a little bit disjointed, but on the whole, it's a very good album, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 8. Now, this was an album called Joe's Garage. It was put in 3 acts. Act 1 was 1 album, and acts 2 and 3 were 1 album. So this is 2 and 3. Now, this was released in November of 1979. Lots of people playing here, too many to mention. So first you get Act 2, and you get The Closet. And then the first track of this piece is called A Token of My Extreme. Weird song, but for some reason I love Frank's vocal on it. I love the sequencing, and the drumming on this is really good. Excellent little track. Sticking Out. I love the bass line on here. It's got a real weird vocal, but it's still good. And then we have Cyborg. It's a fun little track. Some nice little bits on it. I would say it does get a little bit sidelined in the middle. It seems to go off on something, which most Frank Zappa tracks do, but it comes back in. Then we have a bit called Prison, and the first bit of that is called Don't Work for Yoda. Really good. The bass line's good. It's got some really nice keyboards in this. The backing vocals are fantastic on that. Keep It Greasy. The drumming and guitar is wonderful on this. Brilliant stuff. Really solid track. Outside Now. This one's a little bit disjointed. It sort of jumps all over the place. Very hard to listen to. So then we get Act 3 by Sopian Society. I think I pronounced that right. And the first track is my favourite track on there. Recently, Used to Cut the Grass. I love the bass and the drums in this again. And it's got one of the best solos on the album. Absolutely brilliant. Then we get the long Packard Goose. It's got nice riffs in it, but it does meander, and a little bit too long in my book. And then we've got Imaginary Guitar Notes is the next part of Act 3, and there's a track on, first track on this side is Watermelon in Easter Hay. The guitar work on this is great. Frank Zappa, very good guitar player, and this is my second favourite track. A little green Rosetta. I like this. It's got some nice little vibraphones on it, but it's the vocal. It's a little bit repetitive, and that's the downside of it. Pretty good album. Not as good as I think as Act 1, but it's still a very solid album, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7, it's the third album that he released as a solo artist. It's the 11th overall, if you count what he did with the Mother's Invention. It was released in 1970, and it's called Chunga's Revenge. Frank Zappa plays guitar, harpsichord, condor, drums and percussion. Ian Underwood plays rhythm guitar, piano. Ainsley Dunbar is on the drums. John Guerin on the drums as well. Max Bennett plays some bass. Jeff Simmons plays some bass as well. George Duke plays a little bit of keyboards as well. We've got Howard Kalen doing some vocals as well. Mark Volman does some vocals. And Don Harris on the organ. The first track is an instrumental. It's called Transylvania Boogie. Really like this. Proper jazz improv. It always makes me wonder if these tracks are just, oh, let's see what we can do. I really like that track. Road Ladies, lovely organ on this. One of the best tracks on the album. That organ sound is so rich. Then we have another instrumental called 20 Small Cigars. Proper lounge music. Lovely jazz guitar on this. Fantastic little track. It's only 2 minutes 17, but it's wonderful. The Nancy and the Mary music. There's a bit of a drum solo on this, which, do you really need it in the middle of a song? Not really. It's 9 minutes 27, and 4 or 5 minutes of that is the drum. Too long. Then we have Tell Me You Love Me. This is quite heavy. It's got a nice funky sort of guitar on it as well. Some nice tones. Good vocal on that one as well. Would You Go All the Way? A little bit of rocky then on this one. It's a little bit quirky keyboards. But my favourite track on here is the instrumental and the title track, Chunga's Revenge. I think this is one of my favourite Frank Zappa instrumentals. I love the guitar, the wah-wah pedals on there. The drumming is sublime. It's a really good track. Then we have a little thing called The Clap, a little bit noisy, not for me. It's only 1 minute, 23 seconds, which is a blessing. Rudy Wants to Buy Yes a Drink. Love those horns in there. Bizarre track, weird lyrics, but such a fun track. Charlena, not my favourite track. This is the last track on the album, Syndrome. It is just a bit of a filler. Apart from Charlena, it's a pretty solid album. Some wonderful instrumentals on here. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay then, coming in at number 6 is Act 1 of Joe's Garage. And this came out in September of 1979. So Act 1, Joe Exploits. First track is the Central Scrutinizer. Love this. I love the wonderful sound effects on this. I love that whispering vocal as well. Excellent track. Joe's Garage. The background noise is quite interesting. It really adds to it. You get a little bit of rock and roll. You get a little bit of Wipeout in there as well. Pretty good. Catholic Girls, another good track. Love the bass line. Some really nice guitar work on that. Then my favourite track is Crew Slut. It's a sort of a bluesy sound, jazzy blues guitar. Love that. Then we have Sex and Side Gigs. It's the next part, and it's called Wet T-Shirt Night. Love the funky guitar on it. I love that. I love the funky bass as well. On the Bus, Some great guitar work on here from Frank. I love the drumming on this. And then we get the weird track, Why Does It Hurt When I Pee? You always get one of these bizarre tracks. The lyrics are quite funny. It's alright. And then Lucille Messed Up My Mind, my least favourite track on here. Again, it's that last track of the album, Syndrome, a little bit disjointed, and it goes on a little bit too long. As I said, this is the best of the Joe's Garage. I think it's got the best songs on it. Really good album, apart from that last one, and I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, it's getting darker, folks. Well, it seems like it. At number 5, another album released in 1979, and it's Sleep Dirt. On here we've got Frank Zappa on guitars, synthesizers, acoustic guitar, Dave Parlato on bass, Terry Bozzio on drums, George Duke plays some keyboards, Patrick O'Hearn string bass and electric bass, Chester Thompson plays on here, Ruth Underwood percussion, Bruce Fowler brass, and Jamie Newman on bass guitar as well. So the first track on here is a little track called Filthy Habits. I do find this a little bit strange. It's sort of it's got lots of distractions on it. It doesn't flow very well. Flamboy, love this track. I love the use of the vibraphone. Now, you know I love vibraphones. It's a jazzy piece. The piano is brilliant. It's just such a laid-back track. Spider of Destiny comes up. The guitar tones on this one are really good. Some fantastic drumming. I do believe it is Chester Thompson, and it's pretty good. Re-Egyptian Strut, lovely vibraphone, another good song. The piano's good on it. Then we got on Time Is Money. What I like about this is the guitar and the piano are playing two different tunes, but put them together with that lovely drum from Chester. Works beautifully. Then we have Sleep Dirt, beautiful song, beautiful piece of music, lovely acoustic guitar from Frank. There's a bit of snoring at the beginning, which is quite fun. But my favourite track on here is the last track, and it's called The Ocean Is the Ultimate Solution. It's the longest piece on here, and I'm sure again this is a lot of improv jazz. Superb drumming and the bass line. I love how the drumming just changes and the guitar sort of follows suit. Brilliant track. And once again, another good album with some great instrumentals on it. It's got the weird stuff on it, but this is Frank Zappa, of course. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 4 from 1972, the fourth solo album, and it's Waka Jaka. Now this is it's one side one is taken up by the Big Swifty. Really good jazz fusion. The beginning bit is great. I love the trumpet and the drums that sort of interplay on here. Then halfway through you get this bass line that really takes over, and once being in the background it comes to the foreground, and you got sort of horns and an electric piano. It's a very, very good track. Your Mouth is now, it's a little short track. It's fun. The backing vocals are female. They're great. There's so many people playing on here. It's just a chill out. It just might be a one-shot deal. It's got a really Allman Brothers band feel to this. The guitar work, it's very Dwayne Allman. It's a very good track, but my favourite track is the title track, Waka, Jawaka. I love the little bits of the weather report you get on this. It's got a little bit of that Carlos Santana swing to it, and it is my favourite out track on the album. Oh dear, I've got a frog in my throat. Gesundheit. That's better. So it is a great album, not a bad track on this. From top to bottom, solid as you like. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, number 3. Now this has always been a debate if it is a live album or a studio album, because a lot of this was recorded live but with studio dubs on it, and it's for March 1975, and it's called Sheik Yerbouti. So you've got Frank Zappa on lead guitar, David Morey on lead, Napoleon Murphy Brock on vocals, Andre Lewis backing vocals, Randy Thornton backing vocals, Adrian Bello on guitars, Tommy Mars keyboard, Peter Wolf keyboards, Patrick O'Hearn on the bass, Terry Bozzio does some drumming, Ed Mann percussion, and Dave Otka on clarinet. So as I said, these are all recorded at live, but they've had bits added to them. So it's one of them in between albums, but in the catalogue this goes down as a studio album. I'm quite debating about this. So the first track is I've Been You, recorded at Hammersmith in 78. Starts off with a lovely sort of harmony vocals. It's okay, brilliant stuff. Flakes. I like the singing in this, it's terrific. It's sometimes hard to believe what's actually recorded live on the concert and what's been added. Broken Hearts Are for Arseholes. So much energy on there, it's a good rocker, my favourite track on the album. I'm So Cute. Again, it's really weird, you just don't know what's going on. It's a good rocker, but you don't know what was recorded in the studio or what was recorded at the Hammersmith Odeon. Jones Crusher, this is recorded in New York. You can tell this is live. It's got a lot of atmosphere on it. It's really good. Whatever Happened to All the Fun in the World? 30 seconds of nonsense. Then we have Rat Tumango. Second favourite track on here. This is recorded in Germany. I love the guitar on this. I don't know if it's done in the studio or actually live. It's pretty good. We've Got to Get Into Something Real comes next. This is nonsense of 31 seconds. Bobby Brown, quite interesting. It's a short thing. It's okay. Rubber Shirt. Now, a lot of this, there was a lot of overdub on the guitar solos on this done in the studio, recorded in Sweden. I love the bass line on this, which I think is done live, but the added guitar solo in the studio is really good. And then we have the Sheik Yerbouti Tango. This is the guitar solo is from the little house which I used to live in, played in 1978 in Germany. I just like the bass line in it. It's a strange track. Baby Snakes, heavy. Don't like the high pitched vocal, though it's weird. Trying to Grow a Chin. The use of the vibraphone, which is actually, you can tell it's being played live, and I love the lyrics on that. City of Tiny Lights. This is all live. I love the bass and piano, it's brilliant. It's a bit of improv. Dancing Form. I love the vibraphone on this, it's got some great riffs. Jewish Princess, fun track, muted drums and horns, bit of a nonsense. And then we have Wild Love, not a particular favourite of mine, it's a bit all over the place. And then we got the last track, Yo Mama. Again, you don't know what's recorded in a studio, what's recorded live. Yeah, as I said, there's been a debate about this album. Is it a live or studio album? If you look in the discography, it comes under studio albums. At the end of the day, it is a very good album. Whatever category you put in it, it's a double album that hasn't got much filler on it. So I'm going to give this an RTO's ranking of 7.7. Okay, coming in at number 2 from 1976, we have Zoot Allures. Lots of people playing on this again. First track on here is Wind Up Working in a Gas Train. Some lovely bass line. It's a terrific track. The backing vocals are pretty good as well. My favourite track on here is a thing called Black Napkins. The guitar work is fantastic. You just can't beat you can tell Frank's playing. It is superb. Love that track. The Torture Never Stops, a good track, some lovely slide guitar. Don't know who plays it, but it's absolutely brilliant. It's very dark, this song. It's 9 minutes long, but it's really strong song. Miss Pinky, a heavy short track, lovely heavy riffs in this, love that one. Then we have Find Her Finer, love the harmonica in this, really adds to that track. But then we got Friendly Little Finger, another solid track. I love the middle bit where you've got the guitar solo and the drum, it's totally freaky, and then it mellows out, excellent track. Wonderful Wino, another brilliant track, some really strong riffs in this one. Vocal delivery is superb. And then the last, we got Zoot Allures, my favourite track, one of my favourite tracks on here. It's just got a super electric and guitar interplay. Great track. And then the last track on here, Disco Boy, another of my favourites. It's got a sort of drum machine on it, I think. It sounds like it. It sounds really good. Really adds to the track. Not a bad track on this album from top to bottom. One of the best albums Frank ever put out, I think. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. But my number one album for the 70s for Frank is the 6th solo album released in 1974, and it's Apostrophe. Lots of people playing on here as well, so we'll just get on with the tracks. So the first track on here is called Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. One of Dave's favourite titles. And I quite like this. It's a bit of tongue-in-cheek. Not a very sensible thing to do, is it? Eat yellow snow. But it's really good. Then we have Nanook Rubs It. A wonderful vocal delivery on this. The little bit of drum in there is brilliant. It's got some nice guitar work. I do like that track. Then we have this short little track that features vibraphones and trumpets called St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast. Wish this was longer, but it's lovely interplay between trumpets and vibraphone. Father Oblivion, it's another short track, but the guitar work on this is brilliant. The drumming is incredible as well. Cosmic Debris, I love the bass line on this. I think there must be a stylophone that keeps popping in and out of it. It's really good. That steady bass line though is the cream of the thing. I love the deep voice on this as well. And then we have Eccentric Fugal Falls. Quite a short track. It could have been used on a daytime TV show. It's quite thin. And then we have the title track, which is my favourite track on here, Apostrophe. Some of the best music that I think Frank ever did. The bass is lovely. It's just that jazzy sound. I think this is very improv as well. It just seems to roll off the musicians. Brilliant stuff. And then we got Uncle Remus. I love the beginning of this. I love the backing vocals. It's very jazzy. Another short little track. Stinkfoot. This is brilliant. Second favourite track. It's a mixture of jazz and blues. The drumming timing on this is brilliant. The bass drives the song on this. A great track to end the album. I think this period of Frank's career, he was producing some of his best work, and this album is one of the pinnacles. Again, it's going to be up there in the top 10 albums of all time by Frank. It's just, I mean, this album is really, really good, and it just edged out Zoot Allures for the top place. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, there we go. There's Frank Zappa of the 70s. My favourite. It's got to be my favourite. Next week we go on to another era that made some good records, and that's his 80s albums. Okay, coming up next in the dark and gloom will be A Perfect Side, and this one has been set by my mate Lee. We're both big Status Quo fans, and he said, "You haven't done a Quo album yet," and I went, "No." He says, "Do this one," and that's whatever you want. Tough one to do, so that's what we're doing next. So bye for now.